Okay, welcome to the Cube Pod here in the morning of Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, ACTAI Global. Dom's here, warming up with the guitar. Let's hear a little morning buzz here.
Cool,
Go.
cool.
All right, Dom, well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for kicking off Sunday. I think the third day now, ACTAI Global. Great to see you, and great event last night. Very chill. People just relaxing in the element. Ed Friedman's house next adjacent property. Beautiful home.
So sweet.
Yesterday was a great day. You had the great demo.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Gray Whale is the company and the app and the technology. We're here at ACTAI Global celebrating a community that values athletes, conservationists, technologists, artists, and innovators. You're kind of a hybrid. You got the guitar there, but we've known each other for a while, and you've seen the tech scene and your app. I was talking to him this morning with my son about it. He's in Boston. He's right out of college, computer science grad, and he's working a little AI. He's getting his feet wet. And I'm like, dude, you should see this app. It's like doing basically as a prompt engineering runtime app, no back end, super innovative, kind of to me, a tease to the future. You got your hands in multiple pies right now. Talk about what's going on with you and Gray Whale and all your endeavors.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate your feedback. You gave us some great ideas with the travel application for the platform. Yeah. But just to zoom out, so Gray Whale is a platform for foundational AI that does experiments. It performs experiments on unstructured data, and is 1,000 times more efficient than any other system because it's unique. It's what we call reinforcement learning as a service. And to demonstrate that, we showed several of these applications, right? One was in e-commerce. It's a company called Product Genius. Another one was that movies demo that we showed you, which does recommendations. And then there was the matchmaking thing with Fringe, which is our customer, Brian, who is developing so rapidly in the platform, it's like head spinning. And it's just a wonderful idea that he's got, and it's powered by our matchmaking system.
Yeah, what's interesting about it is that I think you're really scratching at an area that I think will be standard. AI we hear first token out, reasoning, reinforced learning on the roadmap right around the corner. Certainly active now, but you see these use cases are like next best action, right? And you guys are doing it kind of in line. Like it's like what I was really amazed by was the no back end. There's no database, there's no servers, and the responses are, as you said, super fast and efficient, but there's also an energy angle. Like you brought that up. I know you kind of touched on it, you really, like briefly in the demo, but...
Yeah, this is one of the facts that kind of blows my mind every time I speak it, which is that it's 1,000 times more efficient. Basically, it does what it does with very, very fewer data points to make its decisions and learn. And that's due to the technique that we're using of causal reinforcement learning, developed by my best friend, Ben Vigoda, who's a scientist. He's from MIT Media Lab, and he got his training in mathematical modeling. So it's a bunch of extremely efficient and very complex mathematics.
Yeah, I mean, for the folks out there that have experience with today's web, call it modern legacy, it's the buzzword for the week, is we all had that experience where you're clicking and you're getting another answer. You can kind of find what you're looking for by click, click, click.
Yeah.
But with AI, those prompts and answers take up cycles. Those are GPU cycles. That's the energy problem. And Bill Tye talks about this, at length many times, certainly on theCUBE, every time he comes on, because obviously he has visibility into that with HUD 8 and everything. But that's a key thing. I mean, it's not just a user experience. It's actually an energy saver.
It's true.
And so you get the best of both worlds. It's like a double bottom line benefit.
That's right. Yeah, the platform has so much leverage because it sits on top of the LLM, any LLM. So it'll work with DeepSeek, it'll work with Claude, it'll work with Gemini, it'll work with OpenAI, whatever you want to use, any open source model to provide that learning layer. And that's what's missing with these systems. I think they're very good at what they do, but they lack a certain sort of finish line experience. They get 80% of the way there, and then you realize they're hallucinating, or they're gaslighting you, or they're not getting that that piece that makes you feel like they understand you. It's the context that's missing. And the way our system works is it's basically observing user behavior and adapting in real time.
What's also interesting, you mentioned Brian Gallagher, who's got Fringe. Gray whale's a bigger thing. So explain gray whale. One, the name. I think it's pretty cool. I like how you explain how you got the name of the company. But what's going on? It's platform. People plug in. I notice it's got kind of a community vibe with other entrepreneurs. I won't say incubated because that word's kind of like been misused. But it's like you're bringing people together with the platform. Talk about the structure. Did I get that right?
Yeah, very good. So all right, I'll zoom out. So gray whale. Why gray whale? What's up with that name? So the gray whale is an ancient, peaceful, giant, social creature that lives pretty much right off the coast of California, and that's it. There are a couple other small places that it lives, but it's really like local to where I live, which is in San Francisco. So, we were thinking about what to name our company, and we realized that it does something similar to what the gray whale does, which is to take a huge amount of ocean stuff into its mouth and filter out the bad and keep the good, or keep the nutritional elements, right? All those tiny creatures. And I think that's what AI is great at, and that's what our platform does specifically, is that it takes a large amount of unstructured data and then finds the needle in the haystack, or that thing that you need, very, very efficiently. And so that's kind of metaphorically why, but also spiritually why, and also locally why we named it Gray Whale.
Great tie-in. Now talk about the structure, how you guys are organized. I mean, there's technology, but there's other, you mentioned use cases, Fringe, the travel, there's things happening underneath it. Is that all Gray Whale? Is that partnerships? What's the...
Great question, So if I could stay zoomed out, the way that I met Brian was one of these ACTAI events, and the way we got to know each other was through another organization that I run, which is not for profit. It's called Developer Camp. Developer Camp is 18 years old, so the tradition's long and storied. We've had public companies come from this. We've had open source that's very prominent and well used come from this, and many other companies that have exited into companies that have sponsored us throughout the years, including Google, Apple, Amazon, all the big names in Silicon Valley have sponsored and then also bought some of the companies that stood on stage, like you saw today, with Brian and other groups. And Brian Bauman was there judging, and Bill was there, and Amanda was there judging our last event, where Brian started down this journey of the app you saw yesterday. And so I have been advising startups for a long time. As a result of that, I had many experiences of my own. I've worked with Obama when he was a senator. I did Starbucks version 1 when they were just getting started, all because I've been early in all these platforms. So Gray Whale is another one of these platforms. And so what we do is we run this event, and we bring in everyone we can find, developers, designers, entrepreneurs, storytellers, business people, folks who don't know anything with just an idea, and we give them the space and the support and mentorship from veteran developers and people in the space to pursue that idea over the weekend. It's like a hackathon, but it's cooperative. It's like a co-opetition. And we give the grand prize of the event, among other prizes that we award, to the person who helped the most number of people over that weekend. So all the grand champions then become people in my companies that I work with, or in some cases advisors, but in one case, of Kenji, who was at the last event in the Philippines where we debuted Gray Whale. He became our CTO. So it's really a part of our GTM strategy at Gray Whale, but also really just a community service that we do to bring people together for the purposes of inclusion, diversity, and empowerment for people who are in this community that don't usually get a chance to speak.
It's Vibe Ventures. It's Vibe Coding, Vibe Ventures. People come together. That's kind of I have to ask you, let's zoom in on the trends that's happening here. Obviously here at ACTAI, there's a diverse group of people in there across all backgrounds. What's been the feedback on the demo? What were some of the comments? Do you have any good input?
Thank you.
After?
So far, so good. People really appreciated the story that Brian and me coming together. I think that's an interesting story to tell. You might ask Brian to tell it, but from my point of view, it was like we met organically through the ACTAI events and got to know each other and trust each other through sport, and then just share ideas that were on our mind, and trust each other to kind of saying yes and. You know that improvisational theory, right? Say yes and, whatever the person says, yes and. Then over the period of the past few months, pivoted twice, this guy with his idea, and then just prototype in the past 2 weeks, and we got the demo working on that morning. So it's been very rapid, and that's the benefit of the system, but also the benefit of the technique that we have. And so the trends that I'm seeing really are in that direction. It's like things are moving much more quickly. The tools are becoming a lot more helpful, and many fewer people can get a bigger job done.
Yeah, I mean it's a builder wave too. In some of the panels yesterday we heard from Brett. He's hacking in another room, comes out with his voice demo.
Yep.
And so demos are actually not just demos; they're actually live demos.
They're working things. Yeah. And you used the wave metaphor, which I really like. I know Bill talks about this a lot too. If you're a surfer, you never take the first wave. Because it's always that second or third wave that is the better shape or the bigger size,
Yeah.
And the waves of AI that I've seen began with this LLM structure. And then there was ChatGPT to give a great application for that LLM structure. And they're pretty good, like I mentioned, but they have their limitations. The next wave that we're seeing now are these agents. And they're great because they bring data in, the LLM will function, and then they have data out. It's like templating, it's workflows, but it's still programming, in my opinion, right? And that it seems like they're learning, it seems like they're intelligent, but frankly, they're not. This next wave that we're riding is the learning wave, where technologies that have been in theory for a while, like causal reinforcement learning, are now in practice. So my co-founder, Ben, who's the scientist from MIT and DARPA, has been working with this in theory for some time, has been shipping it now as part of his company, Product Genius, that it has 400 customers, 1 million users, all this data that proved it's possible. So what we wanted to do was see what would happen if we put this in the hands of developers.
Yeah. It's interesting we mentioned causal piece because, a lot of people have been poo-pooing the causal wave because I think they see agents right in the short term, here. But this whole intelligence layer is coming.
Yes.
Right? The learning, the causality. It might not be sexy today, but I think you guys see around the corner on this one. I want to get your thoughts on how you see this progressing. I think you're early on this in a good way, because that's the next. It makes total sense. I mean, okay, LLMs. I got a foundation. I build some agents, automate some repetitive tasks.
Right.
I know the process. I can bake that in. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's some coding, but now you're getting into the learning.
Yeah.
And that coding assistance moved to coding.
Yes.
We saw that from the LLMs, coding assistants. Now you see coding being done. Now the causal. What does causal mean to you?
Oh, good
How should
question.
people think about causality in context as that third pillar or the third wave coming?
Great. So we say causal because we think of it as positive and negative reinforcement. And that's the genius behind the platform, is that it's not just looking for engagement. I think a lot of the experiences we have on TikTok and Instagram are similar because they're simply looking for you to engage, whether it's in a negative way or a positive way. Same to them. They're selling ads, right? They want to get you to click more, scroll more, right? But our goal is different. It's actually to give you control of the experience and give you control of the algorithm and your data so that you're getting the best result. And that has to look at what you look at and want, but also what you scroll past, what you don't see, to give the system a sense of what you don't want to look at and what shouldn't be in your feed, for example.
Yeah, I think we're over-engaged. I mean, like, it was a comment, I don't know if it was on your panel, I can't remember where it was said, but like, someone was basically referring to the retargeting. I just went to the Hilton, I don't need to see a Hilton ad, or I just, I looked at that product, I didn't buy it, now you're showing me it again? Like, it's so negative. It's just like, ugh, come on, do better.
Right, I know.
And you're going down the road of, hey, this is what I think you like,
Yeah.
based upon not just some pixel or some Web 2.0 technology. And then you got Instagram and TikTok. It's over engagement.
Right. So it's like a echo
What's your
chamber.
reaction
right?
to that? Do you agree? I mean,
Yeah, I had. So I have children, and I'm very sensitive and careful about what I expose them to.
Yeah.
And I had to put my foot in the sand about Instagram, and I have my own limits on these tools too, because I was early on the Twitter experience. I was early on a lot of these tools, and I know what they're designed to do.
Yeah.
And so I kind of know what their ambitions are and why they're designed that way. And it's a profit motive. I understand, but it's not a very good thing for your brain. So what we're trying to do is again put the control in the hands of the user, and per session, per user, give them a sense of what they're looking for, so that you're getting that result. And the way the system works is it takes not just the catalog data that you put in there, but also data from the web, other information sources. And the example you saw on stage yesterday mixed in a product catalog with videos and Wikipedia sources, so that as the person's making a shopping decision, for example, you're seeing informational videos to help them make that decision. Now, that's not information coming from the catalog. It's coming from out there in the web to support their goal, their outcome of making this product decision very quickly. And that can be the same case for any kind of data,
Yeah.
even scientific data. And if you've got a system that is looking to create an outcome to solve a problem or cure a disease, the same causal reinforcement learning can apply, and it's very efficient.
You know, Dom, I think what I learned most yesterday is more of a personal learning. It wasn't like it was said, it was more of a revelation to me, was when I saw your demo, what you and Brian were demoing, and of course we chatted the night before, had a little huddle there, and then we were huddling at lunch after with Jean. He's a solo GP, super smart guy, great to talk with. And he was saying, why am I using the United app? Because we flew in from United, probably here. We did. I know he might have too. Why am I using the United app? I should just plug it in. I should just say, hey, give me my boarding pass.
Right.
And what that points to, and my revelation yesterday is that I haven't been down on the consumer versus the enterprise market. Obviously, the enterprise is hot right now. Everyone's doing enterprise startups because there's a lot of work to be done at the foundational capture of that value. In the enterprise, there's a lot of workflows, there's a lot of data cleaning. So there's a lot of, certainly, huge market. I mean, I think enterprise AI is hot. So a lot of the startups are doing enterprise AI. So I've been kind of on this bandwagon saying, hey, there's no real consumer app. It's kind of the big models are doing that. But what I walked away yesterday was, I think there will be a consumer wave of agents that are smart, and companies like United will plug into it. So I think there will be a consumer wave like SaaS.
Yeah.
Because back when SaaS hit, you were either a consumer startup or an enterprise doing storage, something in software, but complex, but lucrative, kind of thing. But there's a wave coming on the consumer side. I think, I really now believe that there will be a tsunami of opportunity for startups to take a simple idea, like what Gray Whale's doing, and get critical mass.
Quickly.
Because I kind of was down on that before. I just don't see it, because the enterprise, it's different, end-to-end workflows, but there are people who care about their lives.
Yeah, that's the last mile, right? That's the last piece of context that you need for consumers to really find benefit, and that is on the device. So the trend that I'm seeing is that these systems are becoming a lot more efficient. They're becoming smaller. They're becoming easier to deploy. And I was talking with my co-founder Ben Vigoda about this a couple of years ago when ChatGPT came out. He's like, oh yeah, I took the data set and I made one myself. I'm like, of course you did. And he goes, yeah, I did. I ran and compiled it in a couple of days in my basement. He goes, pretty soon I'm going to be doing that overnight in my basement. And then pretty soon I'll be doing it in a couple of days on my phone. And then after that, I'll be doing overnight on my phone. Now imagine if you had the power of this system, training on your own personal data and context on your phone overnight. Every photo you took, every conversation you had, every private insight that you have on your phone, all of your habits, your switching, all the things that Siri can see and know about you. Imagine if that was all the context that you could use to make decisions and operate. Like if you wanted to find a boarding pass, you ask the system on your phone, already knows everything about you, knows what the boarding pass means, knows you've got a flight tomorrow on your calendar, and goes, here you go.
And then I don't have to have the United. I'm not context switching. We talked about last week at an enterprise event. It was called the swivel chair phenomenon, where you swivel from one screen to the other. Context switching. You used the word empowerment earlier on your mission. That's empowering. I mean, when you have that kind of personal productivity, it's going to be very empowering, because the time it takes to set up my calendar, I could set up my agent and go to bed. Wake up in the morning. Hey Siri, send me a wake up call. And oh, by the way, what's my schedule for tomorrow? I don't have to go in and manually put it in. If the data's there, I can say, set my itinerary up. I'm going to be at Maui. Who should I connect with? Who's in my loop? You guys use that term, loop. Because I'm now in context. I'm in Maui right now. I'm with a bunch of kite surfers. I'm a newbie. There's pros here. So I'm in kind of like, how do I fit in?
Right.
So
that's where you want to spend your brain.
I want to spend my brain thinking, okay, how do I maximize the experience of myself and the collective group without being kind of overbearing? Or, hey, how do I get with Katie, who's a world champion? Turns out she's a tech nerd. So she and I kind of connected. Why? Because I'm learning. She's giving me literally pro tips.
And you can vibe on the common interest, right?
Totally. The commonality of that and the causation was that. That had nothing to do with an algorithm. It's my algorithm.
Yeah, it's because you're so present when you're here. And that's what I think these tools will allow us to do. I think context switching is cognitively expensive. So if we can offload that to the machine, we can be present. And we had this conversation in the Philippines at the last ACTAI event about the post-AGI world and what humans are uniquely good for. Right? Like, what will happen when these machines are doing all of this work that's repetitive? And I think the top word that came from that panel including Kenji, our CTO, and a couple of very smart people in AI, was this word trust.
Yeah, exactly.
And that really is about connection. It's about shared, like you said, shared context and experience, but also that human instinct to understand when we can sit next to each other and have a frank discussion and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that machines
Human.
probably will never be able to do.
You could be human.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying this for 20 years now, and past 15 on the cube, and I say it to my kids now; they're adults, and I would say something like, "There's going to be a hippie revolution in tech." They're like, "Dad, what do you mean?" Well, in the '60s, they rebelled against the system. The '50s parents, the whatever Mad Men generation, they smoke and drink and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and so the '60s was an identity, and it was a generational thing, and that was a hippie revolution. Now, when I say hippie revolution for the tech, what I mean is that I think we're in an era now we're starting to see the humanity. I get how bad doom scrolling is. I get that this could be better. How did I inherit this?
Yeah.
Who built this?
Yeah.
A bunch
How
of
did we
boomers?
get here?
How do we get here? Okay, how do we fix it? So I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of vibe around humanity, spirituality. Vibe coding is a great example. Vibes has been a word. So we're starting to see the cultural revolution of this next generation of builders and innovators and artists and athletes, the melting pot, because you can actually blend it all. And what's happening is that it's shifting to the human aspect, which feels like touchy-feely. I won't say hippie-ish, but it's more like peace and love for tech. It's like, what is the vibe? And I think that's real. And I think all the best projects that I look at are technical.
Yeah.
It's deep tech.
But they have a human element.
But they have a human element. And to
Yeah.
your point about being present.
Yeah.
Why aren't people present? Because they get
They've
sucked
got
in
this
the rabbit
distraction
hole.
machine.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Which they got addicted to. So, not that, I mean, I love tech. I'm not saying people shouldn't use their
No, I'm
phone.
the same way. I'll be honest with you. Like when I first saw iPhone, I was excited. I was like, yes. Now, anyone with an iPhone was instantly my friend because I could watch them and I could realize, oh, this is one of my people, right?
Yeah,
And it was so
exactly.
cool. You'd sit in a cafe and like one or two people would have a phone and you go, oh, they're using Facebook. Oh, look at that. They're using a web app. I know, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was lovely for a few years.
Yeah.
And now, honestly, if I go to a dining establishment and I look around, I'm devastated to see how many people sitting across from each other looking at their phones.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a device around. It's come full circle now. And I feel somewhat responsible because I was part of that Twitter experience when it was just getting built, and I've been a part of these social networks as they're getting built, and built many popular iPhone applications. And I can almost tell you what someone's using by just looking at their behavior, right?
Yeah.
That's how deep I've been in this. And I feel a sense of accountability and responsibility to fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be too hard on yourself. I think you just got to be.
I'm not taking
know.
total responsibility for everything, but like, listen, when
Look, I
when
mean,
you're building stuff, I think I've heard this before from Johnny Ive and others. Even if it was unintended, and you were involved, you have to take some responsibility for the correction of.
Well,
that.
you're aware. I mean, that's the first step is awareness, and I
Yeah.
think it's incumbent upon all of us to say, okay, what's the best outcome?
Yeah.
For all this. And I
Yeah.
think, it's just innovation on top of each other. I mean, there's always kind of like, okay, fast and loose.
Right.
It goes off the rails,
Yeah.
get it back in.
Yeah.
So I think that the AI will be a very interesting track. And it was interesting, Brandon, who's the pro kite surfer, mentioned about the AI comment. I'm so scared. He kind of brought the human, like, non-techie, like we're all geeking out on,
Well,
agents.
he was like, my mom's going to get a phone call from fake Brandon and say, hey, I need money, right? That was the scary.
And then
use case.
Sylvia had a good comment. Sylvia Chen, she's like, look, she's an optimist. There's a good side too. So there's symmetry to the spectrum of negative and positive. We saw fake news take advantage of the infrastructure of misinformation, but there's also this other side. There's positive information, like podcasting. Without the iPod and iPhone, I wouldn't ever be kind of who I am. I'm known for being a podcaster. It's not who I am, but like, you become what you're known for. Yeah, opportunities to create value.
Yeah, and that's the double-sided coin, right? Of the adage, right? Every challenge or crisis creates opportunity, and I think that's one of the things that this event is specifically excellent for, because we all see that there is this on the horizon, and we all have a sense of personal responsibility. Everyone here has a heart. Yeah. And so if we can just come together and agree on the next steps together, using technology in a mindful way, it takes everybody.
Yeah, I was talking with Brian Bauman about this, about how in my career I've seen a lot of the waves from early days when it was like, get rich, or hey, get rich and then be the pillar of the community once you're rich.
And then they
and now I've never seen that tech, money, and impact, and not philanthropy, but like all are coalescing.
Yeah.
And because you can do it. You don't have
Yep.
to, it's not mutually exclusive saying, hey, I'm building a startup and I'm going to grind and not have a family and I'm going to work 20 zillion hours a day
Yeah.
and then get rich and then have no friends or then
Right.
like, now I want to donate my, so like now you can actually thread those needles. You can be a tech entrepreneur, you can make money, provide impact and value, and then also have impact.
Yeah, and Bill's a great example of that. Bill Tai, right, our founder of this organization. You just got to kind of like vibe off of the way he thinks and operates. He has that mindset, and I think it's this entire time that I've known him, the past 20 years, he's always been the same dude. And I've known him mostly through sport, and then he invested in advised companies that I've been involved in and co-founded, and then he's doubling down on all of that. And like you said, never wait to be that person.
And Bill,
Just
what's
be
great
that
about
person.
Bill is he's also a visionary too. He's seeking spot talent
Yeah.
and spot trends, but he brings the historical perspective to the present.
Yeah.
He's really good at that. He
Yep.
also is patient. He was
Yep.
kind of showed a little bit of his, side on the day one. Where he said, I've been waiting so long for this to happen."
Yeah.
Being misunderstood.
Yeah. It's
To
hard
be
to
a
be patient.
visionary and a creator, you have to be misunderstood for a long time and deal with that. And that's what I've learned. It's like, hey, I know it's going to happen. Yeah, you're crazy. So the difference between crazy and genius is timing.
Yeah. I like to say being ahead of the curve is just bad timing, right? But there's crazy good and crazy bad,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that there's this being different generally means you have to be tolerant of everyone else's difference.
Yeah.
And
help
that's-
people. We're in a helping culture where
Yeah.
the contribution. This is why I'm so into this whole open source culture. Not just because I've come from a software background and lived in the proprietary days, but open source principles of how software industry was changed literally over 3 decades is now coming into the mainstream at every level, whether it's contribution for philanthropic goals or contributing to, say, content or contributing to a community. These trust networks are bounded by group collective behavior.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what I love about ACTAI and these new trust communities that are emerging. It's really phenomenal, Dom. And you're a great part of it.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
really appreciate
it.
that.
All right, well, let's play us out
Okay,
with
I
a
was
song.
thinking about what I'm gonna
Dom
play
is
next,
here.
I
It's
guess,
a big
here.
part of the community. And again, great demo. He's got an entrepreneurial venture, but he does a lot more. We'll do more. We'll talk more about that in another pod.